Hey everybody, so I'm here editing some videos, you'll see them behind me, from our 24-hour podcast to put them up on YouTube. In fact, the video you're watching right now, I'm currently editing. The hard thing about this video was, part of the file was a little bit corrupt, so we missed the very, very start of Oscar Kightly's interview, and then, little known to us, when we were broadcasting, you couldn't see him for a wee bit. Thankfully, one of you cool people messaged me, we fixed that real quick. And so you get about 20 minutes of his interview. Then straight after that, Steph came on and we had a really cool chat. Me and Justin had a real cool chat with her. But then halfway through her interview, her laptop went flat. So I've edited the bit in between out, and I'll chuck, which we got to talk to Justin and I. I'll chuck that on his video that'll come up. But enjoy this video with most of Oscar Kightly's interview and all of Steph's interview.
And then there is a kind of weird feeling after, but it's like getting a tattoo, you know, like even though you know how much it hurts, you just can't wait to get another one.
Yeah, 100%.
And you have to throw yourself out there and go through that same terrifying, exhilarating.
Well, they say the
type of experience.
The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. Yet we keep doing it because we're insane. You got to be a little bit insane to do what we do. And,
I think you need to have. Because I think insanity is a spectrum, but I definitely think that in order to be part of this business, you do need to have some kind of damaged gene.
Yeah,
that puts yourself up to that. That puts yourself up to that again and again and again, and and the thing is, and you thirst for it on a huge scale, right?
Yeah,
it's like you want to do bigger clubs and bigger audiences and bigger houses, which becomes more and more terrifying, and it's just this weird thing that you kind of put yourself through.
Yeah. Oscar, I've always wanted to ask you. So, being Pākehā, but growing up in South Auckland, like Sione's wedding was absolutely amazing for me. Because I knew those people. Do you know what I mean? Like I knew the characters. I'd met them. Do you know what I mean?
One of them was my cousins. Hey, right.
It felt like I knew these people. You know, it was so familiar. In fact, I identified less with the Pākehā guy in the movie than I did with every other character. Do you know what I mean? But I always wanted to know, like, that movie was that not autobiographical, but was that a big part of you in that movie? Like, were those characters reflection of you or reflection of people you grew up with?
Both, totally both, and also James, who co-wrote it with me, and also the other naked Samoans, you know, who were the kind of source inspiration material for James putting something to paper and then getting me on board. But both, and that's the easiest way to resonate with the audience, right? Is to tell the truth about stuff, you know, rather than just kind of create fictitious characters that are kind of, you know, you've got to be rooted in some kind of reality, because that's the kind of resonance point that you're looking for with your audience, right? It's like when you're on stage telling stories and telling jokes, you know, you want people to be on the same vibe and you're on the same frequency and to be amused and, you know, challenged by the same things in life. But and answer to your question, a bit of both. And man, hats off to you. You know, Pākehā people from South Auckland always share this common thing. Sorry, I'm just cleaning my desk. Is they're really down. But because of their skin color, people don't realise that about them, and so they navigate this funny area at times. I'm quite amused by it.
Like growing up, I grew up in. I spent several years living in Weymouth in Manurewa, and so like
represent Clinton, baby.
My Pacific Island friends were just amazing. Do you know what I mean? And they introduced me to a new culture, and new food. That was the best bit. And,
mum's coming in shortly with that chop suey that you asked for, and Paul also.
Awesome.
Awesome. Like, look, man. Look, in terms of being a new wedding,
and also because you would have experienced life as a minority.
A little bit.
True.
That is true. Yeah.
Whereas normally it's the other way around. You know, and most other parts of Aotearoa.
Yeah, for sure. But it was cool. I loved I love culture, any culture. Like I just love learning about people
and the food.
I love the food.
Oh god, yes.
What were we gonna say?
I was just saying that like we, in terms of nuance, we may not have like may not be at the Rugby League World Cup. We may not be synonymous with much apart from the fact let's be honest, Oscar, we do have the nicest, prettiest, most beautiful flag out of all the Polynesian islands. Let's say that. Let's be honest.
Oh, mate, so totally right. Like everyone else has gone for the kind of traditional, Samoan Tonga with their red and white Tonga and red and white and blue, and and of course the cookies with their kind of
Circle.
New Zealand navy blue kind of background. But then there's Niue with this beautiful blue and yellow.
And then my mum's coming in for the bro here, where like all he wants is chop suey and Paul also.
My favourite food.
She's about 20 minutes away, brother, because that's what we're. So that's what we're famous for. We're famous for our food, our flag, and making you laugh.
Oh, mate, Chappelle's Niue, and that's one of the because one of the naked Samoans, of course, Chappelle Elise. A lot of people don't realise he's from Liku, and
okay.
yeah, he's Niue hard.
Yes.
Yes. Nice. And also, because he grew up there, he came to New Zealand, I think, when he was 8.
Yeah.
He's got some hilarious stories about his first experiences, in New Zealand.
I love listening to my mums and my aunties and uncles when they came over they're from the village Tamakatonga, and they came over, and just the coming from the islands to straight into Manurewa, and just it's just the stories. I love hearing the stories, man. Like we don't know how easy we got it, right? It's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah, hard. When were you last back there?
Like we were meant to go for the 125th centenary in 2020, again because of COVID, because basically my mom's was like, you got to go see your land, but I don't want to go without your dad. My dad couldn't fly, but once he passed away, may he rest in peace. That's where we booked to go over to, and then COVID kind of came along, and life has come along since. So it is still very much penciled in, my friend. But the 125th anniversary, like it's the 127th anniversary doesn't kind of have the same ring to it. So it's not as much urgency to go for that. We'll wait 3 more years. We'll go at the 130th maybe. But But we got to get
127's cool though.
Well, we've got to get there quickly because we've got to get there quickly to see our land because, as a Crow atoll, global warming, we're sinking 2 inches at a time. By the time my daughter gets to be an adult, like, there will just be water. There will be no land. Like, we've got to get there quick.
It's terrible, eh? It's terrible. It's terrible when you hear that in some countries climate change is still a debate, It's like a pub topic, whereas in the South Pacific, there are our island nations are like living with it, the effects every day, that's they're seeing it with their own eyes, and man. But the rock's the rock, man. It'll be there forever.
Thank you. Yeah, my mom's gonna be so gutted when she just misses out on seeing you on screen right now. I swear. But she's like, she wants to ask me 2 things. She wants to ask you one thing. I'm not going to do her accent because it makes me sound real racist, so I'm just going to do it real straight. She wants to know, is there ever a chance you will revisit doing Brotown again?
I don't know.
Did it age well?
I don't know. It was such a funny thing of its time, that sometimes you wonder if it's best to leave it there, but we've worked off and on. The producer Elizabeth's been working on a movie script. So who knows? I'd still like to revisit it as a movie. It's just
Brotown the movie.
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, I'd love that, but there are no plans to at the moment, but it's something we've looked at in the past, and depending on how things going, we may again.
Well,
who knows?
You've got a lot on your plate. The bro was sort of congratulating you on your previous achievement, but for me, I just wanted to say congrats on the Dawn Raid movie. For me personally. Yeah. How's the flow-on effect been since? Because it's been a minute since anyone even I remember it was Avondale, the shop, the original Dawn Raid. I think it was 2004. When Dawn Raid just was everywhere. The Boost Mobile hookup tour, like blah blah blah. Every school holidays, I would take my paper run money up to Otara and go to the flea market and get my Dawn Raid t-shirts and whatnot. And big time. And come back to
that's
and it was a big deal. And then it kind of went quiet. YDNA and Brother D kind of went quiet a bit, and then seeing you bring out the Dawn Raid movie. I know for a lot of us growing up in the mid 2000s, amongst it all, that was a biggie. That was about fucking time that a movie came out for Dawn Raid, so that was cool. So for me personally, that was awesome, bro. How was that for you?
Thank you. Yeah, I'm so glad that was it answered your questions. Hey, because you were like, what happened to those fellas?
Right.
And because they were such a big part of and such a huge part of
just went fizzled out,
landscape.
Go. So thank you for that. Yeah.
And but next week it's in the British. It's got a nomination in the British Documentary Awards for best music doco, and it's up against the Yeezy doco and the Beatles one. So
the Beatles one, you got the most hardcore Beatles fan of all time right here, Dylan.
Yeah, massive Beatles fan. So now I don't know who to root for. Oh my god,
bro, you know who to root for.
Always the home team. Always the home team.
Oh, good answer. Yeah, that's a pretty good answer there. Straight up.
Hey, I just want to say, bloody awesome on you fellas for doing this, and just the energy you're creating by doing it. Don't worry about the audience, numbers or anything. It's just your commitment to this, and
it was a commitment to each other, brother. At the start, like it's pretty much bang on a year where. I mean, it's all documented well in the podcast, but for me personally, I did something that was very much irreversible, let's say, a year ago. And the bro here was like, look, how about you talk to me about it? We'll just put it as a podcast. It wasn't about anything but to keep each other accountable. Yeah. And that's all it was, a weekly chat about things, a week at a time. And then currently we're in 19 countries. We're not promoting it at all. It's just, again, it's still about us. We're not trying to get clout or numbers or likes and shares. We don't really go hard on the promoting of it. I mean, anyone who's listening right now and looking at our Facebook page and YouTube channel, we just created it. We haven't done anything. It's purely about keeping us alive, normalizing these conversations between us. But by doing so, we've become other people's beacon of light, and other people's voice of reason, and other people's hope. And it's been a bang on a year. And even though it's still about us, we've evolved so much because of that, and it has spread far and wide from our whānau right through to the community to Croatia, Hungary, Kazakhstan, and above. It's crazy.
Wow. Do you sometimes listen? Do you ever listen to your early ones and kind of hear different people and go, "Wow, who's that guy?"
Yes, brother. Yeah.
Oh man, I do. Especially so, Oscar. My goal coming into it, because I've suffered from mental health, for a long time. But my big issue, like a lot of men, actually, like a lot of ladies, like a lot of women too, was I didn't communicate. I didn't communicate to my wife. I didn't communicate to my close friends. That was all inside. Do you know what I mean? And then, so my goal in this was I need to be a better husband. I need to be a better person. I need to be an example to my kids. And when I listen back to those first ones, where I didn't say much, and compared to what I talk about now, it's.
And even just walking into your home, and it's just so like your relationship with your wife and your 4 kids, like where you said you never had that a year ago because you couldn't talk, you didn't know how to, and you go from that to it's
so beautiful. Where we are, it's great. But Oscar, man, one of the things I want to ask you about, one of the things, thanks, man, thanks. One of the things I really want to ask you about is you were awarded the New Zealand Order of Merit a little while ago.
That's cool.
That was absolutely amazing, and again, for people who grew up watching you and well, not, I don't say growing up because it makes you sound like
just put it how it is.
Grow up with you in our lives. Grow up with you in our lives. You know what I mean? That was amazing. That was so cool to see you out there getting it. What was that like for you? Like, what was the experience?
Yeah,
that
must have been buzzy. Yeah.
I mean, amazing and awesome, and I used to check the paper even when I was at school, I used to check the paper every year, going, am I in it yet? No, nothing. But it's funny you get there because I reckon that stuff is really awesome for real community folk. The people that you don't hear about. It was awesome, but it also felt weird to kind of get something for something that you love doing and that you kind of feel privileged to do. Because there are so many people doing some amazing stuff kind of far away from the crowds, far away from the, and even areas like mental health, away from the cameras, away from the kind of spotlight, who deserve to have the spotlight shot on them by winning that those things. But saying that, I was proud for my mum and as well, and for my family and for me.
Because even though you're in the public eye doing you're very much like in terms of making movies, you're on TV and this and that, but you're putting in the work big time. It doesn't just, you're not lucky. You make your own luck because you're grinding. Like you try and write a movie, you try and animated series, you try and do all that and come at me and Sione's Wedding, that's not something that just pops out into the movies, into the stratosphere. That takes a lot of work, so it's well deserved, man.
Thank you, Connor. Thank you.
Yeah,
appreciate it. But also, there's a lot of people. That's the other thing. Like even you fellas must know, and you're the one standing up on stage, right, alone with the microphone. But nothing's done alone.
Yeah. No, you're right. Like comedy.
And so you always feel weird when you're singled out to get it, but that there's a huge, and plus all your mates who are also your collaborators on stage and on screen with you as well. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh man, what else? Oh,
well, I was just saying, because there's a lot of people doing it in the mahi big time. I mean, my mom's not on TV, but she works 80 hours a week as a cleaner, and a caretaker for a Catholic primary school. And if I could give her the Order of Merit, that's cool.
Sure.
Oh my, right, exactly. Exactly.
Cool,
people ask me who my hero is. It's my mum.
Yeah,
I
just what
she
like her work ethic,
her whole life.
Yes.
Everything she's done and
Oscar.
everything she sacrificed
bro.
for me and for her family and everything she's done. I'm just in awe. And so a big part of my motivation.
But how lucky are we to have that? How lucky we have that to have that as someone to aspire to right there as our mother. A lot of people don't have that. I always say I'm blessed to have had such a beautiful upbringing, to have that, to aspire to be someone who's just such a hardworking, amazing, with a big heart. It ticks all the boxes. Like a lot of people don't have that. You have that as well. It's like we are lucky to have that.
We're so lucky.
Cook a bomb as chop suey too. So I'm just saying. Oh man, but
you're lucky. Because that's the thing with chop suey. Everyone knows their mum makes the best one, or their auntie, or their grandmother, and everyone's got their own little secret ingredients.
Yeah. Well, it's cool. Like a lot of people say, "Oh, we go to Nuans to get our food," and the Nuan community come to my mom's. I'm just saying that's up there.
Hey, wow.
Yeah, man, that's cool. Oh man, Brotown the movie. Just the thought of that. Sorry, that's in my head. That is.
I don't know. Yeah, it's something we've worked on and off in the past as a team, but just I think COVID hit, and a lot of things kind of got blown out of the water.
Yeah, no, that's cool. Hey, Oscar, we've got you on our screen, and people at home can see you as well. But just with Duck Rockers, man, the young guy Augustino who plays your character.
Yeah.
What great casting! Like that, you guys are just like, it's like looking at the same person. Do you know what I mean? Just a little younger.
Yeah, does the looks part? Obviously, acting chops is a bit important, but the looks, is that part of the whole package? Like, he's a great actor, but looks nothing like me, as opposed to he looks just like me, but sucks at acting. Do you have to find I don't know.
Oh, we got lucky with him, and I was talking to. I was just talking to Tuila about it actually, and she was just reminding me that we found him on the last day, of casting, but we were just about to kind of call time of death at such and such, and then it's like, well, we just had one more search, and then we found him and his brother Levi, our Sephra and our Albert, and Augustino's such a awesome young. Human and actor and all-round individual, and he's so smart. And Albert was a smart guy too, so you needed a smart kid to act him.
Oh, mate. So now that you're in the whole politics game, does that mean you're going to hold the whole entertainment, the writing, the directing, the act, the comedy, that sort of stuff?
No, well, that's the good thing about because. I'm on the Henderson Massey local board, and that's a good thing about local board is, it's full on and it's a real commitment to your community. But the idea is that it attracts people who already work And this is extra. This is like extra community service on top of what they already do. So I'm confident I can balance things. So
you're saying about that hole that you were talking about earlier. Is it something? Have you got something maybe working in between the ears right now that you're sort of jotting down that you want to work on next? Is there some ideas? Are we allowed to hear about them?
all the time. There's things bubbling away and at various stages of gestation, and but I feel like it should be. I feel like I do look at it as community service, and it's part time, but it's kind of full time as well because you're thinking about it all the time, and you could be anywhere, and someone will have a conversation with you about potholes or a playground or a bus stop design. I've only just started it, but the thing is, I love where I grew up. I love because I met New Zealand here. I was a little 4-year-old from Samoa when I came here to Te Atatu, and I love these surrounding areas because that was also my playground. So to be able to try and serve the community on this capacity is awesome. And I just want to thank all the 10,023 people who put a tick next to my name. I love you.
Awesome. Hey, Oscar, we'll let you go so you can chill out for the rest of the night.
Honestly, just selfishly, we just want to carry you on for the next, how the 24-hour podcast is midday tomorrow. If we could, we'll just hold on to you because we're massive fans, but we kind of got to let you go because the fact that you gave us your time.
I'll check in with you tomorrow morning, see how you're feeling.
I love that.
But sleep deprived, but we'll be good. We'll be good.
But Oscar, hey, look, man,
let's see the quality of your conversation tomorrow morning after a few more hours.
I'm not gonna lie. Even Mike King was saying he's like, bro, have a couple of Bacardis.
Yeah.
I'm just like, that and slip dip. Oh, that'll be okay. We'll hold you to that.
At the slippery slope, that one.
Okay. Well, if you're free tomorrow morning.
Chicken anytime, man.
Chicken anytime, man.
All right, I will.
It's been awesome, Oscar.
Chicken.
Thank you for everything you've done. It's amazing, and bless you, and have a good night.
Yeah, for real. Thank
you.
Oh, brother, there he is. There he is. That's new man, brother. There's some new man.
Nice.
For your ass.
Love you,
for life, brother. Cheers. Let up.
See ya.
See ya.
Oh, man.
Oscar fucking Kightly.
Come join us, bro. Come join us.
Oscar Kightly. Oscar Kightly. That was Oscar Kightly. Oh my God. We kept our goddamn cool.
Do you know?
We kept our cool.
We
kept our cool.
Do you know I had a million questions for him?
Yeah.
And he came on the screen and they were all gone.
Oh my God. Oscar Kightly. My that was my idol at high school.
Bring your chair around, bro.
My idol at high school, because how many Polynesian writers are there, So he was I won that award at high school. I was writing for the Manawatu Standard. Oscar Kightly was my boy. Dawn Ray was everything.
So what we're gonna...
Oh my God! I'm speak. Yeah, I'm good, bro. Like,
all right.
I've spoken to two of my idols today.
So we've got...
That was the second one, and I'm a little bit overwhelming.
We've got... we've just been joined by Justin Nye, ladies and gentlemen, but we're also going to be...
we're still actually on, aren't we? Jesus Lord. I just fanboyed out for 2.5, 3 minutes. I thought we just cut and we're good. What a dum-dum I feel. Okay. No, I don't feel shit. I just spoke with Oscar Kightly. Oh, here, sorry, bro. Now, we are joined by Justin Nye.
But hold on, in a second, I'm just going to go back and find the right window. We're going to be joined by Steph in a minute. So I'm just going to send her a new link. Steph,
but we're still live right now, right?
We're still live, yeah.
Okay.
Steph, if you're watching, I'm just sending you a new link. If you could jump in there. And the reason I did that is because we can only go on Zoom for an hour at a time. I don't want to lose you halfway through, Steph. So if you jump in there, we'll let you on. So we're joined by Justin Nye, local comedian. So we're going to have a good chat to him in a minute. But unfortunately, all our guests, we had to push back a few because Oscar was a bit late on.
Justin Nye, he was a guest of ours, I want to say 5 months ago.
You want to talk to the boss, by the way?
Justin Nye, by the way.
Gotta turn it on.
You gotta turn it on. That's true.
Well, Justin Nye, who's just joined us, he was about 5 months ago. We actually sat down. It was cold. It was the winter because it was cold, so we were in your room, right? And I don't know if Justin knows this, but it has and still is one of the most listened to episodes we have.
What?
Yeah, because it was a beautiful yarn, and it got more and more beautiful. It was really raw. during this.
How long?
So
A
when
few hours?
when
Okay,
Dylan,
Steph's coming in. Here we
hey,
go.
hey, audience, when
Let's bring
Dylan's
her in.
one of Dylan's children speak, you shut the fuck up.
You listen.
I just
Yeah,
stopped.
I
just
was
stopped.
I was just like we were introducing. I was like, the kid wants to speak. We need to listen.
Yeah.
You know,
I didn't.
this is the boss.
Here she comes.
Okay.
Hey, Steph, how are you?
I'm bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, Dylan, as per usual.
So Steph was just messaging me some amazing stuff earlier, and she's had a wee wine.
I've
God
heard a
bless
lot
Have
about
one
you,
for me?
Steph, but this is the first time I've met you. So, kia ora, whakalofa
I
lahi
can't
atu,
see you,
guten Tag.
but yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see you. I see
We
you.
can't overload our bandwidth. That's why.
That makes sense.
Yeah, sorry, Steph. But everyone can see you, and on the YouTube,
Brilliant.
we're all together. We're all together. So, Steph, this is Kels right
Hi,
next to me.
Kels.
Hi,
Kels.
And then there's Justin Nye, my Asian
You'll have
guy.
lost it.
We've got a
That's me.
So, Steph, I was so keen to get you onto the show because,
5,500
firstly, you're an awesome person, and you're very funny. And no matter, I've suggested you a few times you should be on stage, but you don't want to do it. But that's fine. Respect that. But you're a child psychologist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's really weird, Dylan, the fact that I can't see you. It's quite hard to talk to you.
Just pretend.
But yes,
You guys have met once or twice, so
it's not our first rodeo, but yeah.
I'll try and chuck it
we
on.
can see ourselves out.
But Steph, Gumboot Friday is all about the kids. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's all about
Yep.
helping children who can't get help through the medical system. But you do help kids through another system, which we're not going to mention because it's a place of work. But you are heavily involved in helping children improve their lives, get some help. In fact, you've also helped people who have been really close to me in my life. So I know how effective that can be, and that always warms my heart to know how amazing you are. So that's why we wanted to get you on,
cheers.
and we also wanted to get a professional on. Do you know what I mean? Like a professional, someone who does this for a living. And have
Out of all the people, Dylan, you chose me.
you're my
Out of
favourite.
all the people you could choose.
Nothing against all the people I know in this profession through the place where we go sometimes. You're my favourite. So.
Oh, bless.
So it's really, really awesome. I just realised Justin probably can't hear anything.
I can't hear shit.
If you root around in that basket down there, mate, there's another set of headphones.
You got to root around
so,
real heavily.
Steph, man, where do we begin? So obviously at the moment, mental health is a big ticket issue. Like it's a big thing in the world, and you're on the front line of that.
100%, yeah.
How?
What do you want to know?
Man, what don't I want to know? I guess the first question is, how are you? Like, how,
Yes.
like
First and foremost,
someone
how are
who's on the front line, that's got to be heavy on you and your own mental health. And so, how do you?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is. It's it's a. If you're talking about the psych workforce as a whole, it's a pretty full-on job, and there is absolutely no shortage of work. There's more work than we can deal with, and there's not enough people to do it. So, the demand on psychologists and on counsellors is really, really intense, and the work is really, really intense.
Yeah.
You're carrying people's stories with you that you can park them to a certain point, but it's it's a full-on job, and we're really lucky where I work that I get really. I get a lot of support and a lot of supervision around the work, which all psychologists do and most counsellors do.
Yeah.
But it's a hard job. It's not an easy job. And
we're getting a lot of viewers coming through saying there's a major echo when Steph talks.
Okay. No, that's nothing to do with you, Steph. That's something to do with us. So I'll fix that while we're talking.
Sorry, Kerry.
So. Oh, man, that's
but I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, good. That's what I wanted to know is like, how are you and how are you doing?
Yeah, no, I'm good.
How's life treating you? So, Steph, I guess you're a parent as well. Obviously, you've got your own kids. And I guess my big question is I've got my own kids. One of them's here with me today. And so, when I'm with my kids and I see them and I'm with them every day, obviously mental health is always, I'm always looking at them going like, are they okay? What am I looking for? Are there signs? If someone's a new parent, what's some things they should be looking for as signs that maybe my kid needs a little bit of help like a little bit of assistance in their own mental health?
I think, as a parent, you know your kids. Despite what anyone might tell you, a parent knows their child best. So it's the little things that you're looking for. It's the changes in behaviour.
Yeah.
So it's things like, it's not the I ate beans one day and I don't want to eat beans for the rest of my life because I'm 6. That's not the sort of change I'm thinking about it. Things like you were fully toilet trained and all of a sudden at 4 you've gone back to wetting the bed.
Dylan still has that problem.
Yeah, I still have that problem.
Well, you should probably drink this, Dylan.
Yeah.
But, it's things like that. It's the little changes. It's the changes in behaviour, because that's all psychology is human behaviour, really.
Yeah.
So if you're thinking about children, it's, if their sleep patterns change, if their eating changes, if they stop, if their behaviour towards other people changes. So it's, and I don't want to use the generalisation, but I'm going to.
Yeah.
You often see boys will often externalise their behaviour. So they might be, this is where you often see children with trauma who will be more physically or verbally aggressive towards other people.
Yeah.
And for girls that can happen too, but they can often do the reverse and be a lot more introverted, and withdraw a lot more. So it's a lot harder sometimes to pick up on that with girls.
Yeah.
But a parent who's really present with their kids and really engaged with their kids will notice those changes.
Yeah.
So that's and connecting with them, talking to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how you're going to find out if things are going wrong, especially with teenagers. You're only going to know if they tell you, because teenagers are great at hiding it. So, being actually present with your kids when you're there, you're not on your phone, you're there. You're, maybe not face to face, because teenage boys hate that, but you're there, you're listening when they are ready to talk, not when you're.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, it totally makes sense. I actually had a question I was going to ask Mike King, but I actually want to ask you instead, because I think you're going to be tops at answering this.
Yeah.
Is one of the big things that worries me all the time, especially with my own kids, is the stigmatism that comes around not just mental health, but I mean health in general. Do you know what I mean? Like, particularly because I've got my 3 girls, and I constantly worry about them going through puberty. That's a big thing for me. Like, how does this affect them? And what, and all that thing. But the stigmatism around mental health is really hard. And I think, do you find that stigmatism is breaking? Like, it's becoming a more acceptable thing? No, it's still hard in the community, sort of thing.
Not. I think it depends who you talk to, Dylan. To be honest, I think. You only need to look at the suicide rates amongst farmers to know that people aren't talking.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about children, especially boys, I think certainly for teenage boys, that stigma is still very much there. Yeah. And all we can do is educate them and sort of say, it's okay, you're not different or whatever, but that doesn't matter to them, because teenagers are so, well, for lack of a better word, self-absorbed. They're very egocentric. They're all about themselves, and they don't want to look different to their friends. So it's a tricky one, because you need to talk about it, but you want to be able to talk about it when they're ready to talk about it. It's not going to work otherwise.
And it's hard, but being a former teenage boy myself, once upon a time, a million years ago, it's really hard. And I remember growing up, and that's when I first started going through my own battles. You know what I mean? Like, and being like, I don't want to meet. Like, should I talk to other people? And one of my biggest regrets is later in life when I reconnect with those people, and especially now that I'm doing this podcast and my mental health is really public. They're like, I felt exactly the same. Like, I was going through that too. Like, I wish you'd said something, because, even my mate Justin, who's right next to me, do you know what I mean? it wasn't until I started doing this podcast, I'm like, man, we have so much in common in that respect. Like, and we could have helped each other so much more. So I guess it's really hard to get those teenagers, like you said, particularly teenage boys, to start those conversations. Is there any advice you give around that? Like, how do you get them to start those conversations?
If you're talking about working with your own kids, which is always the best place to start with your own kids. I mean, for me, I can only talk for me really as a mum, as a parent. If I want to talk with my son in particular, I will, and I know something's bothering him, I know things are on top for him. We do something together that we're not face to face. Yeah. Because face to face is actually quite confrontational. Yes. You know, it's quite, tell me how you feel. No one's going to answer that if you're looking at someone. Yeah. But doing something like walking the dog or, fixing a car, or not that I'd have a bloody clue how to do that, but, doing something so you're together but not face to face. Yeah. And letting them guide the conversation is the big thing, because you can kind of give them sort of clues of, you asked about this the other day, do you want to ask any more? Or do you want to talk about it now? And they'll probably go, nope. Yeah. But if you let them guide the conversation and you don't talk and you don't try and solve their bloody problems, they'll talk a lot more. Yeah. We often don't want people to solve our problems. We just want people to listen.
Just want to be heard, eh? Yeah.
And I think that's where sometimes parents fall down is, we love our kids so much and we want the best for them. So we want to solve their problems. We want to make it go away. We want to make it hurt less. Yeah. And actually sometimes we can't. Yeah. And they know that. The teenagers, they know that. They know you're infallible. So, sometimes they just need you to shut the hell up and sit there and listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, wow. Dylan, shut up.
So, you know what I mean?
For fuck's sakes.
No, I think.
Shut up, Dylan.
Shut up, Dylan.
I'm going to tell you. Look, Steph, I'm now that you say that, I'm the first to admit I'm that dad who doesn't shut up. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, what's wrong? Tell me, talk.
My husband's the same guy.
Yeah, and so thank you, man. That's something that obviously, because I've got my girls, and it's obviously something I got to do is just let them talk and do that. And it's so funny what you're saying about do those activities with them, like the car, the walk, or whatever. It's so funny thinking back to when I was young, like not knowing it, my dad did that with me. He didn't know he was doing that. But now that I look back, he was like, come on, let's go. Come help me, like, polish the bike. That was his big thing. Come help me. He had a motorbike and he liked the chrome to be shiny. Do you know what I mean? And at the time, I'm like, he just doesn't want to do it. But he would do it with me. Do you know what I mean? And that's when we would really discuss things honestly. And or things like that, come help me clean the shed, and all that sort of thing. Come fishing with me. And that's when we had our most honest discussion. So good on you, Dad. You did it right.
Because you're with them, you're present. They know that you're listening. Yeah. But they don't have to have that face-to-face, full-on discussion. Yeah. That parents think that they need. Sometimes parents think they need to do. And sometimes like, no, just ask a really nice open question and then shut the hell up. Yeah. Just zip it.
Yeah, and let them do it and let them lead it.
Buckets full of shush.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, that's really cool. That's really powerful. Yeah. I don't know how much you want to comment on this or not, and so tell me to stop if you don't want to, or if you're not sure. But like my big thing.
Oh, I will.
Yeah, I know you will. My thing in life is I'm always torn in two when it comes to mental health or anything, whether for lack of a better term, therapy or talking is better, or medication is better, or is it a combination of both together in harmony? What are your thoughts?
Oh, my good friend. Oh, go down a rabbit hole here. I think it depends who you talk to. Yeah. If you're talking about gold standard treatment, you would probably do a combination of both. I know a lot of people are sort of like, oh, I'm depressed or I'm really anxious. And so they go off to the doctor because they feel that they need to. Yeah. And they get the medication because that's what they're supposed to do. And they do start feeling better.
Yeah.
Until they stop taking the medication, which is usually, if they stop too quickly, it'll come back even worse than when they started.
Yeah.
Because all you're really doing is putting a Band-Aid on a bloody big festering wound.
Yeah.
It might up your serotonin and make you feel better, but it doesn't change the fact that whatever got you to that point is still an issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
So until you kind of address the issue, you're just putting a plaster on it. Cool. It's Band-Aid. You've got to, and it's hard work. Therapy's really hard work.
Yeah.
It's my hat goes off to people that are prepared to do it, because it's pretty ugly. When you get into it, it can be pretty hard.
Oh yeah, and that's why the guy sitting next to me, like right now.
Yeah,
the guy sitting next to me right now is one of my wee mental health heroes, because he's gone through that battle. Do you know what I mean? He's gone through that.
Yeah.
I need to talk to someone, and it's something that I keep telling myself, like, I need to do this. Do you know what I mean? And so I keep looking at this guy as an example. So we'll talk about that later.
I
with
had
him.
no idea, just by the way.
But
it also, Dylan, it's more than that too, because I think the research is really clear that therapeutic relationship, the relationship you have with your counsellor or psychologist, will be predictive of what the outcomes of the treatment.
Sure.
So if you walk in and sit down and like, oh my God, this guy sucks, like really sucks the fat camera kind of thing.
Yeah.
It won't matter how great a therapist he is.
Yeah.
It's a waste of your time.
So
and we're in that position again where we've got a shortage of people, and people kind of get what they get and hope for the best. And when it doesn't work because that relationship isn't there, they go away going, well, therapy is a waste of time. And it's like, well, actually it's not. You just haven't found the right person yet. And sometimes you've got to try a few people before you get the right one.
Yeah, for sure. Let's change the street. Let's cross the street a wee bit. Go to something else. Steph, is this what you always wanted to do? Like, was this your life goal to be in the field?
No.
How did you get into it?
God,
that was a really quick answer, by the way. No.
What led you to this? Like,
no. Actually, what I wanted to do when I was really little, I wanted to be a family court lawyer.
Oh, okay.
Pretty specific and a rather odd career choice for a 12-year-old to have. So I did actually start doing law and discovered very, very quickly in my first year at Victoria University that this was not my cup of tea whatsoever, and it was boring as shit. I hated it.
Yeah.
So then, drifted through uni, did what good uni students do, spent 3.5 years getting a BA initially, so that kind of tells you the kind of thing I did.
Yeah.
And then pulled myself together and went to teachers college, because what else are you going to do with a BA in English?
Yeah.
Went to TCOL and taught for 16 years, and I really enjoyed that. I really enjoyed teaching, primary school teacher.
Yeah.
And then I did that, and I'd always said to myself, when I get to the point, because I loved teaching, that if it ever felt like a job, I would leave and do something else. And we were living in Christchurch, the earthquakes happened, all of the trauma around that happened, and so we moved up here, and then my dad died 8 months after we moved back to the North Island.
Yeah.
And these are two major traumas kind of thing. And it really made me sort of stop and reevaluate what I was doing and what I wanted to do and where I wanted to go. And that was where I kind of thought, actually, I've always had a real soft spot for...
Oh, we lost her.
Just a soft spot in general.
Hold on, Steph, we've lost you for a second. Oh, no.
It's a real cliffhanger, too.
Oh, no.
Soft spot for what? Tell me!
Oh, man, that's what a cliffhanger. I was really enjoying that.
Okay. Shall we just predict what she was going to say?
I think a soft spot for helping people. Helping children.
That wouldn't make sense.
She's frozen. Okay, we'll come back to Steph once she unfreezes. Hopefully, which is in a second. I don't know what's happened. Oh, she's dropped off.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right. We might have technical. It might be an internet issue. Hopefully, she'll be back on in a second. Here she comes.
Here she comes.
You left us on such a cliffhanger, Steph. We had to get you back.
There's nothing like a laptop going flat when you really don't want it to, and your charger's downstairs.
You were telling us how
really organised.
Yeah, all good. You were telling us how you got into psychology, and you left on quite a cliffhanger that you started self-reflecting after the Christchurch earthquakes and your father passing, and you decided if it becomes just a job.
It is not happening for us today.
Oh, is it not? Okay, you're back. You're going. You're good. We can hear you. That's the main thing.
Yeah, that I would change what I was doing.
Yeah, and then you said.
Yeah.
You said you always had a soft spot for something.
Yeah.
And you said I always had a real soft spot, and then you cut out, and we're like, what is it?
You're like, what?
No, I mean, I always found psychology fascinating, but I always had a real soft spot with working with kids who, didn't learn the same as other people, or particularly the kids who had real sticky behaviour.
Yeah.
The sticky biscuit kind of kids where other teachers didn't like them because they'd be pretty full on, and I really liked them, and I always wondered, I had a lot of, why were they behaving like that? Why did they do things like that? So that's kind of how I fell into it. And also because my dad had come from a really traumatic background as well. So it was a kind of a combination of, I wonder what made him tick, and what makes these kids tick, and what could I do that could make a difference to them. So that's kind of how I got into it.
Yeah.
And now I wish I'd actually done it years ago, but
wow, but you're here
so
now.
it's always 2020.
Yeah. When you were learning, like when you were studying again to do this, when you started a new topic or whatever, new behaviour, you started learning about new behaviour, how revolutionary was it for you to go, oh my God, I didn't know I had this about me or about my husband or your dad, or do you know what I mean? Was that quite an emotional experience to be like, wow, we have these traits, so
It's a really good question.
Was there a lot of self-reflecting going on?
Oh, huge amount of self-psychoanalyzing going on. Yeah. And to the point that my husband would be like, stop using that psychodevil bullshit on me.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, the reason you're doing this is because.
That would be infuriating.
But, you're
going through the third stage of grief right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. I do. It's like, oh, I know what you're thinking.
Yeah.
I know why you're saying that.
Yeah.
Like, shut up. It's like, well, I can't help being awesome, but there we go. Yeah. No, it's it's a really reflective profession, because you've kind of really got to know yourself quite well.
Yeah.
And I was, I've been advised it's always a good idea to be on the receiving end of therapy if you're going to be delivering therapy. Yeah. So, I've done I did a year's worth of therapy on myself as well, which was really awesome.
Yeah.
And I learned a huge amount about myself, some of which I was aware of and didn't want to think about, and other parts were sort of revelationary for me, and some of it was quite life-changing. But yeah, it's a great. I'm a strong advocate of people retraining to be psychologists. It's not easy, but it's or even counsellors. We are so short. Anyone wants to change a career, that's a great place to go. 100%.
I would agree with you, but in a slightly different way. Is that I've always been a big advocate, especially more recently in the last 5 years, of like learning is for life. Like, you never stop learning. You should always be educating and learning more and learning more skills. And like, I know you know that last year I did some study. This year I'm doing more study. Hey, you never know. Next year I might just sign up. You just don't know. It's. I tend to go with what's free.
What's free?
Yeah.
I know Kels has been told, you should be a psychologist as well.
Oh, Kels has been told quite a few times, yeah. Because he's been through the system. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Kels has been through the system, and he's also been through the system so much. Yeah.
It is such a great, in terms of job satisfaction. I sound like I'm selling the career, but in terms of job satisfaction, it's such an honour and a privilege.
Yeah.
To be able to walk the journey alongside someone.
Yeah.
And for them to trust you enough to share their story with you, and I'm incredibly privileged to be allowed to be a psychologist.
Yeah.
Training aside, I think it's a real privilege to have that, to be able to do that with somebody who's going through stuff that is really, really hard.
Wow.
Poor mental health is really, really hard.
Yeah.
For kids, for adults, for anyone, it's hard.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's no kind of continuum on that. Hard is hard.
Yeah.
So
I completely agree.
Retrain. Do it, Dylan. Love it.
I would.
There's a shortage of males. That appendage of yours could finally come in handy.
That appendage.
Finally.
Yeah. How many kids do you have, Dylan?
You and my wife. I got one more question for you, Steph. We don't ask many people to do this, but I really want to ask you to do this. Like, we didn't even ask Oscar to do this, so this is special. So for anyone who's listened to our I'm going to put you on the spot. Anyone who's listened to our podcast knows that we always sign our podcast off with a bit of advice that says, before you jump, blah, blah, blah. I think you've done it. I think Justin here has done it. And so, Steph, top of your head, before you jump, if you can give us a bit of advice, like before you jump, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, so not a joke. Okay.
No. Oh, hey, no, we've done joke ones too. We've done like...
No, so you're talking quite seriously.
Yeah, like before you jump...
Like, comment, and subscribe.
Like, comment and subscribe, yeah. Before you jump, a bit of a timely advice. Now, this doesn't have to be for kids. It doesn't have to be... Just for anyone. It could be for mums. Do you know what I mean? It could be for other Stephs in the world. Not with the name Steph. People in the same boat as you.
Very specific.
Not in the same role as you.
Just putting it out there, I'm not suicidal, Dylan.
So no, but
I'm
like
okay.
a bit of good advice.
Yeah, before you jump, it's shit. Oh, that's hard.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
Because there's so many things I could say.
Yeah.
The sun rises every day, so it's like before you jump, it will pass. That intense feeling will pass.
Yeah.
It does, because none of us talk about, when people say I'm always depressed or I'm always this, and we talk in absolutes, and that's actually literally not true.
Yeah.
And my dad's one of my favorite phrases was, "This too shall pass."
Yeah.
And it does. You've just got to be able to hang on in there to know that actually the sun will still come up.
Yeah.
And there is always hope.
Yeah.
Even when you think there isn't, there is always hope. There is always something that, it can be a kitten, it could be your mother, it could be, someone else. It can be suddenly you decide you're worth fighting for.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful.
So
that's absolutely beautiful.
This too shall pass.
Yeah. Steph, thank you so much for coming back on and being patient with Oscar.
Well, he's not the Prime Minister, I'm just saying.
He's working his way there.
I was very patient.
Thank you for coming on.
He's probably, obviously, significantly more important for me, but that's all right.
Wow.
I'll let you go. Thank you very much for having me.
I'll see you as soon as I can.
Right. Cheers, mate.
See ya.
Bye.
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 Cool. She's a cool cat, man.
She's a cool cat.